as one of the most dangerous terrorists in the world today. But I think that this is an attempt to deter young people today from engaging in radical activism. Insists on making connections between, assaults on women in prison and the larger project of abolishing imprisonment. And of course, this project requires us to understand how we can insert ourselves into transnational solidarity.
Right.
So let me say that the mega corporations understand the connections. Mm-hmm. They understand the connections a lot more than we are willing to admit. And they grasp those connections of what we can often consider to be disparate issues in profitable ways. So let me just say a few words about one such corporation, which is called G4S. G4S is the largest security corporation in the world.
Yep.
If one examines its lineage, one finds connections with the private prison corporations that began to emerge in the 1980s. But G4S is the third largest corporation in the world. Third only after, what's the largest corporation in the world?
ExxonMobil.
Yeah, somebody said it. Walmart. Yeah, Walmart is the largest private corporation in the world. The next one is Foxconn.
Really?
The third one is G4S. G4S owns and operates prisons all over the world. It provides security for rock stars, as it points out. Check out their website. G4S provides transportation for immigrants who are being deported.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, not very long ago, there was a case of a young man, I think from Angola, Jimmy Umbenga, who was killed by G4S agents in a British Airlines plane as he was being deported. G4S also deports Mexican immigrants in the U.S. They're involved, and I mention them because they are centrally involved in the Israeli institutions of imprisonment, but also the checkpoints. Now, G4S is also the corporation that hires more people on the continent of Africa than any other corporation. I could talk to you about the prisons that it operates in Israel, the prisons that it operates in South Africa. As a matter of fact, there's a big movement in South Africa against G4S. But one of the things that I found very interesting and disturbing was the fact that they have begun to open centers, what they call centers for abused women. So when you think about, you all were talking about, how to challenge the rape culture. When you think about, all of these institutions that have emerged over the last, say, 30 years to address issues of sexual violence, rape, crisis centers and so forth. Well, G4S is right there, involved in the process of rendering these kinds of agencies profitable.
Wow.
They run schools for what they call girls at risk, at the same time as they provide weaponry to armies all over the world. So, you see what I mean when I say that we should perhaps look at the way in which they have already grasped the connections. Because we need to understand connections between the state violence to which so many racially marginalized women are subjected, imprisonment, having children taken away, and intimate violence, domestic violence. We often we often assume that when we talk about violence, that it is young men who bear the brunt of violence. And of course, young men do, especially black men, men of color, when you think about street violence, when you think about police violence. But I think it's important to point out at the same time that women are the most consistent targets of violence in the world.
Thank you.